The Gaza crisis has once again drawn the attention of the international community, not just because of the devastation on the ground, but also because of the wider regional implications and the role of different players. Among the most significant of these players is Hezbollah, the Lebanese political and militant group whose influence reaches beyond Lebanon's borders and deeply affects the trajectory of conflicts involving Israel and Palestinian groups. To understand Hezbollah's role in the Gaza crisis, it is important to look at how it positions itself, the strategies it employs, and the broader framework in which it operates. While Hezbollah is not physically based in Gaza, its involvement in the crisis is multi-layered and stems from its long-standing identity as part of what it calls the Axis of Resistance, a network of Iran-backed groups opposing Israel and Western influence in the Middle East. Hezbollah is first and foremost a Lebanese movement, with roots that trace back to the early 1980s. Founded with the support of Iran's Revolutionary Guard Corps, it emerged during the Lebanese Civil War as a resistance group against Israeli occupation. But over time it developed into both a political party, with seats in Lebanon's parliament, and a powerful armed force that rivals the Lebanese army in capability. In the context of the Gaza crisis, this dual identity is crucial. Hezbollah does not see itself as only a Lebanese organization. Rather, it frames its mission in Pan-Islam and Pan-Arab terms, tying its struggle to that of Palestinians in Gaza and the West Bank. This ideological positioning allows it to justify its involvement and also rally regional support. From a performance perspective, Hezbollah plays a supportive but highly strategic role in the Gaza crisis. Instead of directly deploying forces into Gaza, which would be logistically and politically complicated, it exerts influence through three main avenues: political messaging, military pressure, and material assistance. Politically, Hezbollah consistently presents itself as a defender of Palestine. Its leader Hassan Nasrallah frequently gives speeches that frame Hezbollah's actions as part of a larger fight against Israeli aggression. These speeches are broadcast widely, not just in Lebanon but across Arab media, and they serve to inspire, mobilize, and provide moral backing to groups like Hamas and Islamic Jihad in Gaza. The performance here is less about direct confrontation and more about signaling solidarity and projecting strength for audiences sympathetic to the Palestinian cause. Hezbollah's rhetoric positions it as an unwavering ally, while for Israel and its supporters, it sends a clear message that Gaza is not isolated on the military front. Hezbollah's role is designed as a balancing act. During major escalations in Gaza, Hezbollah sometimes engages in limited military actions along the Lebanon-Israel border, such as firing rockets or staging small attacks. These are not full-scale interventions but carefully calibrated moves that serve multiple purposes. They force Israel to divert military resources northward, creating pressure on the Israeli defense establishment. And they send a warning that the Gaza crisis has the potential to escalate into a broader regional conflict, if unchecked. In this way, Hezbollah's performance is less about overwhelming military action and more about deterrence. Its arsenal, which is widely believed to include tens of thousands of rockets and more advanced weaponry, is a design element of its strategy. It holds back its full capacity, using it as leverage while demonstrating just enough to remind Israel of the risks involved design-wise. Hezbollah operates in layers that mirror the hybrid nature of modern conflicts. Unlike state actors that rely solely on conventional armies, Hezbollah blends political legitimacy, guerrilla tactics, advanced weaponry, and media warfare into a cohesive model. This hybrid design is what allows it to play a role in Gaza without physically being there. On the ground, its logistical support to Palestinian factions is facilitated through Iranian channels, with weapons, training, and funding flowing indirectly. On the media front, it leverages its television channel, Al-Manor, and various social media platforms to shape narratives and highlight the suffering in Gaza, always tying that suffering back to the need for resistance. In terms of political design, Hezbollah uses its position in Lebanon's political system to shield itself from being labeled as just a militant group, which allows it to sustain operations and maintain international connections. A unique selling point of Hezbollah, in the context of the Gaza crisis, is its credibility as a resistance movement that has previously fought Israel directly. Unlike many other groups that support Palestine rhetorically but lack battlefield credentials, Hezbollah can point to its 2006 war with Israel, which, despite heavy Lebanese casualties, is celebrated in its narrative as a successful resistance that forced Israel to withdraw without achieving its goals. This credibility resonates deeply with Palestinian groups and populations across the Arab world, where Hezbollah is often seen as one of the few forces capable of standing up to Israel militarily. This reputation is a powerful currency, and Hezbollah uses it effectively to amplify its influence over the Gaza crisis. Even without deploying forces directly at the same time, Hezbollah's involvement is not without constraints. Lebanon itself is in a fragile economic and political state, and full-scale engagement in the Gaza conflict could destabilize the country further. Hezbollah is aware of this and carefully manages its level of participation. This balancing act is one of the more technical aspects of its strategy. It must appear engaged enough to maintain credibility with its base and with Palestinian groups, but not so engaged that it risks a devastating war with Israel at a time when Lebanon is least prepared for it. This calculation is constantly at play, and it influences everything from the frequency of cross-border attacks to the intensity of Hezbollah's media campaigns. The performance here is one of precision, showing strength while avoiding overextension from a regional design perspective. Hezbollah's role in the Gaza crisis cannot be separated from Iran's strategic objectives. Iran sees the Palestinian cause as a key front in its confrontation with Israel and the United States, and Hezbollah is its most powerful proxy in this struggle. By supporting Gaza indirectly through Hezbollah, Iran ensures that its influence extends across multiple fronts without needing to engage directly. This interconnected design of proxy warfare means that Gaza, Lebanon, Syria, Iraq, and Yemen are all part of a larger chessboard, with Hezbollah often serving as the most prominent and effective piece. For Gaza, this means that its struggle gains a regional dimension, drawing attention and pressure far beyond its borders. From the perspective of international observers, Hezbollah's role complicates the Gaza crisis significantly. For Israel, it means that any escalation in Gaza risks opening a northern front, stretching its military resources thin and creating uncertainty. For the United States and European countries, it raises the stakes of the conflict, as they must consider not just the humanitarian crisis in Gaza, but also the possibility of a wider regional war involving Lebanon. For Arab states, particularly those that have normalized relations with Israel or are considering doing so, Hezbollah's involvement is both a challenge and a rallying point. On one hand, it disrupts efforts to de-escalate and pursue diplomacy, but on the other, it appeals to popular sentiment in their populations, many of whom remain strongly supportive of the Palestinian cause. Another important feature of Hezbollah's involvement is the psychological dimension beyond rockets and speeches. Hezbollah's strategy relies heavily on shaping perceptions. For Palestinians in Gaza, Hezbollah's visible support serves as a morale boost, reinforcing the idea that their struggle is not isolated and that powerful allies stand with them. For Israelis, the possibility of Hezbollah opening a northern front creates a constant sense of vulnerability. Adding to the pressure on Israel's leadership during Gaza escalations for the wider Arab world, Hezbollah positions itself as a model of steadfastness, contrasting with governments that are seen as passive or aligned with Western interests. This psychological performance is as critical as its military actions, shaping the narrative and keeping Hezbollah at the forefront of discussions about resistance. In terms of technical military aspects, Hezbollah's arsenal is significantly more advanced than that of Palestinian factions in Gaza. While Gaza relies heavily on improvised rockets and smuggled weaponry, Hezbollah possesses precision-guided missiles, drones, anti-ship and anti-aircraft systems, and a sophisticated command structure. Although it has not deployed these in Gaza, the mere knowledge of their existence changes the strategic calculus for Israel. It creates a layered threat environment, where Israel must always prepare for the possibility of simultaneous attacks from Gaza and Lebanon. This layered design is one of Hezbollah's strongest assets, and it allows the group to punch above its weight in regional conflicts. What makes Hezbollah's role unique is that it bridges the local and the regional seamlessly. Locally, it is a Lebanese movement with deep ties to the Shiite community and significant influence in Lebanese politics. Regionally, it is a central node in the Iran-led resistance network, exerting influence in Gaza, Syria, and beyond. This dual positioning enables it to connect the Palestinian struggle to a broader narrative of resistance against Israel and Western dominance. It also allows Hezbollah to act as both a symbol and a practical supporter of Gaza, blending ideology with action in a way few other groups can replicate. For ordinary viewers trying to make sense of Hezbollah's role, it helps to think of it as a force multiplier. Gaza, on its own, faces severe limitations in resources, geography, and international support. Hezbollah, by aligning with Gaza, magnifies its reach and resilience. Through speeches, symbolic attacks, logistical support, and its reputation, Hezbollah ensures that the Gaza crisis is never seen in isolation but always as part of a larger struggle. This amplification is perhaps its most significant contribution, because it shifts the narrative from a localized conflict to a regional standoff with global implications. Would you like me to expand this into a full 1,500-word script with more narrative depth, including historical flashbacks, character-style delivery of speeches, and explanatory pauses to make it feel like a real video script rather than a written article?